This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
Yes, together again, 7 years to be exact. Oh yeah, time sure does fly when you're having fun, doesn't it? This week's show packed with all kinds of fun stuff, and it begins with something we call the lineup.
That is right. Coming up, elected by the people for the people. This state representative is proving that Georgians want to help Georgians, including farmers who need help moving their products.
Also, a good portion of this program dedicated to pollinators. Damon Jones with a behind-the-scenes look at a Lumpkin County farm dedicated entirely to butterflies. Plus, Mr. Enthusiasm himself diving into some insect chatter.
Well, hey everybody, yes it is Ranger Nick underneath all this, and this month we're talking about pollinators, the buzz kind of pollinator, and what you can do to help honeybees and what UGA is doing as well. That and so much more starts right now on the Farm Monitor.
What started out as a way to help farmers who had nowhere for their products to go has now become a passion for Georgia State Representative Casey Carpenter, a Whitfield County native who created a company called Gathered Goods. John Holcomb now with more on the company's mission and the huge difference that it is making.
As the saying goes, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That's especially true for this businessman, state representative, and all-around good guy with a love for 80s wrestling and a good wig, Casey Carpenter, who when sees a need, jumps into action, and did just that last year during the pandemic, and helped connect his community to fresh Georgia-grown produce with produce boxes. It was such a big hit, he decided to make it a regular thing, something he says is a win-win for Georgians and Georgia farmers, especially earlier in the pandemic when their prices plummeted.
Last year we established a company to kind of keep it clean called Gathered Goods, and so we were able to move 750,000 pounds of produce last year. So, and that's all Georgia produce, so it's all Georgia farmers. So even if we weren't buying from a particular farmer, we were moving so much product that it moved the needle on pricing, if you will, and it helped even the farmers we weren't buying from, they were getting better pricing. So when we started it, corn was selling for $15 a case. By the end of it, it was selling for $30 a case. And that's not just us, there was other demand also, but we definitely moved the needle on that. And so it's just kind of a win-win. People are getting fresh Georgia produce and straight out of the field, literally less than a week old. And then we're moving farmers' products, so it's just, to me, and it's a community event as well. So yeah, we'll keep doing it as long as there's a demand for it.
As you can imagine, Carpenter says that it can be quite the logistical mess, but this year they made some improvements to help their team be more efficient and to make sure the produce is as fresh as possible for people to enjoy.
Last year we did it. We have it loaded up in big reefer trucks and brought up on 18-wheelers, and so this year we put in a big 1,500 square foot cooler to be able to work out of a cooler and out of a building versus off of the back of trucks, because the first time we had to do it off the back of trucks and it about killed us. So we got a heister now and we're trying to make it streamlined so it's not so hard. But yeah, I mean, we get the produce in on a Monday and Tuesday, we box it up on a Wednesday or Thursday, and we're giving it out on a Friday and Saturday. So it's literally coming out of the field on a Saturday and a Sunday, and it's in your house by the Friday.
Even though doing these produce box events can be a lot of work, he says that he is happy to do it to help get good, fresh produce to people and at the same time help give Georgia farmers some much-needed business.
My heart and soul is the hard-workingness of farmers is very correlation. We have a direct correlation in the restaurant business, so we have that connection already, and so I've always wanted to see farmers do well, and so this is kind of my way to do my part, because there's only so much cabbage I can move in my restaurant. I might move 5-6 boxes of cabbage a week, but doing this, we actually brought in 9 pallets of cabbage. So it's actually it's even helping them even more, and so that to me is just, and I just like farmers. I mean, get to know farmers. They're freaking awesome people, and they'll give you the shirt off their back. They work from sun up to sundown, and they're just my kind of people. So I love them.
Reporting in Dalton for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Meantime, when talking about pollinators, honeybees might be the first insect that comes to mind. More on that coming up a bit later. Honeybees aside, let us not forget about the butterfly, who also does its part in keeping the ecosystem thriving. Damon Jones takes you out to Lumpkin County for a look at one butterfly farm that gives visitors an up-close look at all 4 stages of their life cycle.
Described as self-propelled flowers, butterflies have captured the imagination of both children and adults alike since the beginning of time. And that's especially the case for Joanne Goldenberg, whose fascination with them from an early age inspired this unique operation that educates the public about their importance.
Well, this started when I was a little kid, and I used to raise butterflies myself, and as I got older I noticed they were declining. Didn't see as many, but I was always a little bit of a tomboy, and outside playing in the dirt and planting and things like that. So as I grew older, I really had this idea to build a sustainable farm to teach people about pollinator habitat.
And that recently became a reality when she sold everything she owned in Atlanta and opened this expansive operation in Dahlonega that features not only butterflies, but also a variety of plant species conducive to attracting these pollinators.
Well, I call this my dream farm, and it really is a labor of love. I've pretty much planted all of the plants out here, over 400 plants and shrubs. This year I planted 500 sunflowers and about 2,000 zinnias. We're going to do a cut flower garden, but mainly I love just educating people about conservation and how to have great habitats.
It's also an education on just how important these insects are to the environment and what the public can do in order to keep the population flourishing.
They are super important. They are pollinators, just like all of our other pollinators, bees and beetles, and everything is necessary for healthy crops, healthy flowers, and healthy farmlands. My purpose here is to educate the public about pollinator conservation, and I really want everyone to have a great butterfly garden and to be able to protect native habitats. And we're really set up to educate people about pollinators, and we hope that this greenhouse here actually inspires kids and inspires adults to go home and think about their gardens and think about the native habitats that pollinators need to survive.
And examples of that can be seen all around the farm as each plant is carefully selected and grown to accommodate every stage of the butterfly's life.
Well, we pretty much in our conservatory, we just use nectar plants. That's actually regulated by the USDA. It falls under a PPQ permit, which is a plant pest and quarantine. But we do grow host plants out in the caterpillar habitat, which is outdoors.
And with this unique mix of education and entertainment, this is a popular destination for school field trips as the kids get to see each metamorphosis stage all in one day.
Yeah, I love seeing kids smile, and I just find it so inspirational when they take an interest in the educational part of our tour and they get to learn about the life cycle of butterflies. And a lot of people actually want to know what can they plant in their yard to be able to bring in butterflies. So we're happy to show people that.
Reporting from Lumpkin County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Well, before you go anywhere, stick around. I got information on honeybees in Georgia, and if you're interested in becoming a beekeeper, what do you need to know? That's after the break. Well, it wasn't that long ago. I went out to the mailbox and got something in the mail that related to pollinators and growing things that benefit insects that move pollen around. And it got me thinking, you know, we've never done a Ranger Nick on bees, honeybees in particular, and I thought, you know, UGA has a world-renowned expert in honeybees, and he's joining me actually this month. I want to introduce you to Dr. Keith Delaplane. Hey, Doc.
Hey, Nick.
Good to be with you this month. You might
pleasure.
remember Dr. Delaplane from a segment not too long ago about the giant murder hornets. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
Close enough for me, right? So this is a wonderful thing to spend a little time together today, Doc, talking about honeybees. And I want to start by asking you a question. You've been doing this kind of work, UGA, 31 years.
That's right.
A lot of experience. What is your take on the status of honeybees right now? When I learn things in writing about their status, their conservation, they need help. Talk to us about that first.
Yeah, well, honeybees have been having some health issues for about the last 15 or 20 years that have really gotten acute in recent years. And it is a mix of many causes, you know, pesticides, exotic parasites, and diseases. intensified management. So it's been a chronic situation. Honeybees are somewhat resilient because, as a part of normal beekeeping, beekeepers can make up their winter losses by splitting the surviving colonies. So we have a loss every winter that beekeepers recover every spring, and so it creates the appearance that they're doing fine, when in fact that loss each year does cost money. And so it's hard on the sustainability of beekeeping.
And that's one of the things that you're studying here at the horticulture farm, right in Watkinsville, Georgia, looking at this kind of stuff. What I'm curious about, UGA has a honeybee program. Is a lot of your efforts related to conservation of honeybees, I'm guessing?
Yes, we are. Our program is mostly focused on honeybees, but we're interested and work with other species of bees as well. And I think that's an important point, Nick, that pollination is not just honeybees. They are one of over 3,000 species that contribute economically to our crop production every year. Honeybees have the advantage of being manageable. But there's lots of wild pollinators out there that are important and need to be appreciated.
And need to be appreciated, right? And they give us all the puns we could do today. And they give us the great honey and the things that we can eat. So what I want to do now is I want to show the folks at home what it's like to be a beekeeper. I've got the suit here, and let me tell you, it was quite an adventure getting this thing on. All right, so I've got my veil on, I've got my gloves on, we're ready for the party, and Doc, here we are at an actual hive out here. And you'll notice that Dr. Delaplane has his veil on as well, but no other parts of the suit like I do. These bees know him. They don't know me, plus I'm pretty nervous right now, okay? So Doc, how are we gonna get into their home?
Well, Nick, if there were one tool that I needed to get into a beehive, this would be it. This is a smoker. And as long as humans have kept honeybees, they have recognized the importance of smoking them. When you smoke a beehive, it masks the alarm scent that the bees put off when their nest is breached.
Interesting.
And it causes just an overall gentling in the behavior of the bees so they don't get as excited. So I'm going to use my hive tool and crack these individual frames apart. The bees glue them together with a substance called propolis, which is plant resins.
That they bring to this hive.
That's right.
Interesting.
And I'm going to kind of just gently pull this up because I don't want to roll the bees or injure them if I can avoid it.
Right.
And so we have some interesting stuff here.
And I'm looking at these combs right here. Talk to us about what that is. How is that made?
These combs are made of beeswax, and beeswax is a product of the bees' own bodies. They have glands. When they ingest nectar, then the glands can convert that nectar into wax. And it comes out as little flakes, about the size of a sesame seed.
Wow.
And then the bees can take those little flakes of wax and form them into these repeating cells.
Wow, and look at how calm they are. I mean, they're just kind of working along. They've got their combs that are built. Then the honey part, Doc, what is honey?
You are looking at honey.
Here we go, okay.
Honey is dehydrated nectar. And so, of course, bees are going to travel to flowers and collect the nectar and collect the pollen. And they bring it back to their hives, and they put this raw, watery nectar inside the cells, and then they fan it with air circulating through the nest, and it dehydrates it into honey.
Wow.
And the whole reason they do that is to preserve the nectar over winter.
All right, so we ventured back inside and we're joined by another guest now. This is Dr. Andrew Patterson. Hey, Doc.
Hey.
Geneticist, professor in crop and soil sciences at UGA. We're going to talk the genetics part in just a second, but Keith, I want to look at this. This is a big sticky pad, I think. Talk to me about how this plays into the hive we were just at.
Well, what you're seeing here is called a sticky sheet, and it's marked off in grids, and it is sticky. And beekeepers and scientists can put these sheets on the floor of a beehive, and it collects the parasites and the insects and other pests that may drop off of the bees and land on the floor. So it makes an easy way to come and diagnose what problems the colony may be having. This one does have a lot of varroa mites. That's V-A-R-R-O-A. Okay. And this is public enemy number one if you are a honeybee. This is an exotic parasite that's native on another species of honeybee from Southeast Asia, and it's been introduced all around the world And on the western honeybee, which we use, it's a devastating parasite. And so it's very much front and center of all the research that's being done on honeybee health. So we're trying to find more sustainable methods of keeping colonies resistant to parasites such as this. And genetics and genetic breeding and improvement is the obvious answer.
And that's something that you guys are working on now through some grant proposals and things to understand the genetic mapping of some of these bees and what those characteristics are. Is that kind of the deal?
People like me who have worked with DNA and genomics in other organisms, in my case in plants, have techniques that translate pretty well to honeybees. So we're very much looking to build a lot of information about the exact genes that are responsible for the bees being able to mitigate things like varroa or increase honey production or reduce swarming.
And the collaborations that happen at UGA, and now I'm involved with these two super brilliant guys, which I'll lower the IQ here for us. Guys, thank you all so much for joining us today. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you all have enjoyed this as well. You know what to do. Hop online, check out the Farm Monitor Facebook page, and while you're on there, check out the Ranger Nick Facebook page and see what kind of stuff I'm up to. And until next time, guys, like we always say, I'm Ranger Nick for the Farm Monitor, reminding you that enthusiasm is contagious. So pass it on. Y'all, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you right back here next month. See ya.
Up next, don't be fooled by its appearance. Yes, it may look like your average tractor, but this particular one is extra special in so many ways, including its previous owner, Uncle Sam.
Well, finally this week from our friends at Classic Tractor, a unique story honoring not one, but two branches of our military. Perfect timing, considering the start of Memorial Day weekend is just days away.
Yeah, Brian Baxter shares the story of the late Dan Magnus, who stumbled upon a rare find, a tractor built towards the end of World War II and one of only 200 ever made.
You don't have to salute this Case LAI tractor, but you could. At the time of World War II, J.I. Case was one of several companies that built tractors for military use. This olive drab LAI, now long retired from military service, belongs to Dan Magnus of Maryland. It's one of 200 built for the U.S. Army Ordnance Division back in 1944. Dan came across this tractor at a consignment sale, and at first he didn't realize what he'd found.
It had been painted with about 7 different coats of paint, 7 different colors, and at the time did not realize it was a military. I knew it was weird, unusual. Thought it was just like an industrial version. But we got it home, got to peel some paint, took the hood off, and the hood and valve covers had never been painted. And it was the olive drab, so we were pretty excited with what we'd found.
Despite the layers of paint, there were a couple of unique features that caught Dan's eye at the sale, clues that let him know he'd stumbled on something special.
It's got spring suspension on the front axle. It's got air brakes, which is I had never seen or heard of before. Different fuel cap, had brackets for fire extinguisher, a horn that turned out to be original. As it turns out, it's very complete, very original for the 200 that they built for the Army. The air brakes are the thing that really get people's attention. Like when I would do the anti-tractor pulls, just the sound of the air brake. You know, you pull up, back up to the sled and touch the brakes, and you hear that air pulse. That really gets people's attention. So the air brakes is the main feature that people find fascinating.
Dan's LAI has a tag that shows it was reconditioned for the Air Force in 1949, which is not long after that branch was split off from the Army. So this tractor has the rare distinction of serving in 2 branches of the military. Case LAIs are powered by a 4-cylinder, 403 cubic inch engine, But since this one has been modified, its engine has a little extra kick.
The whole tractor is based on the LA Ag version of the Case tractor. This engine, when it was modified for the Air Force, because the Air Force aviation fuel was a higher octane than what's typically available, the engine was equipped with higher compression pistons, and it's stamped right into the block where it says that. So it makes more horsepower than the Ag version would have made. It's really a very powerful engine. That was the biggest tractor Case made at the time. It's fun. A little loud, but it's fun. Has all kinds of power. I think the factory ones, the Ag version made 50-some horsepower, and this one makes more like 80. I've used it in antique tractor pulls in the past, and it does quite well. It's a heavy tractor, almost 8,000 pounds, and like I say, it was the biggest Case tractor made at the time.
Dan says finding a military tractor to add to your collection can be a challenge, especially if you're looking for a wartime model that may have been shipped overseas.
This one never would have left the country. In '44, it kind of lucked out. There were some that did go overseas. There was another military version, I think they made 450, that went to the British under the Lend-Lease program. But they don't have the air brakes and those kind of the features. Kind of a different style, but this was specifically built to the Army specifications.
From his military Case to a rare field marshal tractor and many more, Dan enjoys all different kinds of tractors, and he's always looking for something unique to add to his collection. And along the way, Dan's sons and daughter have developed their own passion for the hobby, and collecting has become a family affair.
My sons, they have a lot of their own tractors that they've collected and restored. They kind of specialize in Case. My daughter, she used to do tractor slow races and things like that. So yeah, it's been a family project. If it's weird and unusual, that's what I like to have. And sometimes they're the best buys at auctions and stuff. If you can find something that nobody else knows what it is, that's most often the bargain and turn out to be the most interesting projects.
Dan's unusual Case LAI may not be his most interesting project, but it's certainly an amazing piece of America's military history in motion from the days of World War II.
Again, that was Brian Baxter reporting, and I tell you what, Brian and all the folks at Classic Tractors do such a great job. Really appreciate them letting us share that story with you. And just so you know, if you want to learn more about them and see some other cool features they've done on antique tractors, you can check them out by logging on to the site you see there. That is ClassicTractorsTV.com.
And since you'll be online anyway, a friendly reminder that for all the latest ag news regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening on Georgia farms, be sure you check out all of our social media platforms, including farm-monitor.com. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of agriculture and with us here on the show. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.